procrastinate. It's not just about being lazy or avoiding work. There's a lot more going on beneath the surface. At its core, procrastination is often about fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of not being good enough. When you have a task in front of you, it can be overwhelming. What if you start and it turns out you're terrible at it? What if you give it your all and it's still not good enough? It's easier to avoid the task altogether than to face those fears. Then there's perfectionism. For some, the idea of doing something less than perfectly is terrifying. If it's not going to be flawless, why bother? But perfectionism is a trap. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of inaction, always waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. Instant gratification also plays a big role. Why work on something difficult when you can get a quick hit of pleasure from social media, a snack or a Netflix binge? The brain loves instant rewards, and it's all too easy to choose short-term pleasure over long-term goals. There's also a concept known as time inconsistency. This is when your present self and your future self are at odds. Your present self wants to enjoy the moment, while your future self is stuck dealing with the consequences, so you put things off, thinking your future self will handle it. But when the future arrives, you're still the same person, just with less time and more stress. Finally, let's talk about task aversion. Sometimes you just really don't want to do something. Maybe it's boring, difficult, or just plain unpleasant. Your brain starts associating that task with negative feelings, and naturally you want to avoid those feelings. So you put it off, even if it makes things worse in the long run. So with all these factors at play, it's no wonder procrastination is so common. It's a complex mix of fear, perfectionism, instant gratification, and plain old avoidance. But what happens when you keep putting things off? Let's take a look at the consequences. The consequences. Alright, let's get real for a minute. Procrastination might seem harmless, even fun in the moment, but it comes with a cost. And sometimes that cost is pretty steep. First off, there's stress. Oh, the stress. When you procrastinate, you're not just avoiding a task, you're also avoiding the growing sense of anxiety that comes with knowing you still have to do it. And as the deadline gets closer, that anxiety turns into full-blown panic.
Suddenly you're pulling all-nighters, fueled by caffeine and sheer desperation. Sure, you might get the job done, but at what cost? Your health, your sleep, your sanity, they all take a hit. Then there's guilt. That nagging voice in the back of your mind, reminding you that you should be working. It's hard to enjoy anything when you know there's something else you're supposed to be doing. The guilt just sits there, like an unwanted guest at a party, making sure you never fully relax. Procrastination can also lead to missed opportunities. When you're always waiting until the last minute, you might not leave yourself enough time to take advantage of new opportunities that come your way. Maybe you miss out on extra credit, a networking event, or even just the chance to do your best work. You're so busy playing catch-up that you can't move forward. And let's not forget about damaged relationships. When you're constantly putting things off, it doesn't just affect you, it affects the people around you. Maybe you miss deadlines at work, letting down your boss or coworkers, or maybe you keep flaking on plans with friends because you left something until the last minute. Over time, this can lead to frustration, resentment, and even strained relationships. Finally, there's the long-term impact on your self-esteem. When you're always procrastinating, it's easy to start thinking of yourself as lazy or incapable. You see the missed deadlines, the half-hearted efforts, and you start to believe that's just who you are. But that's not true. Procrastination is a habit, not a character flaw, and habits can be changed. So while procrastination might feel good in the